Now, the One Show presenter Alex Jones has been busy retraining in a project that is really close to her heart.
And she wasn't busy enough already. Yeah, she spent 6 months helping out as a fertility assistant at a clinic in London as part of a new documentary series.
Alex is with us now. Good morning.
Morning, how are you both?
I was expecting you to be here with your scrubs and your mask and your hat on.
Do you know what? I love scrubs because it's, you know what to put on in the morning.
Uniform, it's great.
It's brilliant.
Don't think about it.
It is.
Because
fantastic.
You didn't just go along like a documentary maker and do this, did you?
No.
You went and actually did the job, which is quite scary, I think, at times.
Well, the deal was, in order to make a 10-part documentary, and I thought it was really important because there are so many people in this country that go through fertility problems of all sorts, and it's not spoken about. And it's madness, really. We talk about everything else, but it's never really had a light shined on this subject. So I thought, right, OK. But the deal was, you've got to get involved. So Dr. Saris, who we saw in the clip,
terrifying.
He rules the unit with an iron
terrifying.
fist.
I was terrified. I felt like standing up when he came on the telly.
Exactly. The first time I met him, I thought, oh, my goodness. But actually, he's a real softie. He's really nice. But he does like the unit to work as a really slick machine, which is fair enough. And he said, look, I want you to come in and train as a fertility assistant. And you'll have to start bottom rung and work your way up and become part of the team. And actually, I just, really enjoyed the experience. And also felt like then I was there as, I had a proper role because I didn't want to be the television girl that turned up and sort of just was there to observe, but it wasn't easy. That's what I will say.
And you were there a couple of days a week, proper
yes,
shifts?
we were there. So we did 2 days a week over a course of 6 months, sometimes 3 days a week. And of course, the more involved I got with the patients, the more I wanted to be there. So, I'd go in a little bit more towards the end because I wanted to find out what happened with their stories. And he was doing things like scans, observations on patients, and blood pressure and all the rest of it when they came out of theatre. A lot of chaperoning, cleaning, restocking there. You can see us there in the cupboard. And the team, do you know what? The nurses, the team was so lovely. I felt right at home very quickly. And what they do, they are the best examples of humankind that there are. They are fantastic.
And had you previously had any kind of inkling that you might want to do something like this? As a kid, did you ever think, I really love science, or did biology O-level or A-level, whatever,
I didn't do any sciences, but I always thought when I was younger, gosh, I might like to be a nurse. And then, just sort of didn't think about it. But the minute I stepped into the hospital, just being able to care for people, I loved it. And I mean, I wasn't good at the technical stuff, but just building relationships with people and, holding their hand throughout the process was just such a privilege. I mean, I can't believe that the individuals and couples who we featured agreed to take part. It's such a personal and an epic journey, physically and mentally. And without them, of course, we wouldn't have a 10-part series. So credit to them for letting us share their story, because all of those people who took part felt quite isolated.
And vulnerable.
And vulnerable. Very lonely as well going through the process, because very often employers don't understand what it might be like to go through it. Extended family and friends don't understand. And hopefully with this, more people will be able to be more supportive because they'll understand what the process entails, because it's such a lot, isn't it, to go through.
Yeah.
You dealt with so many couples during that process. Give us a story, one particular story that sticks in your mind that really stays with you.
One particular story is a lovely couple called Dr. Katie and Johnny, and they've been together for a long time. They might be watching this morning. And Dr. Katie is a paediatric doctor. And she's been through years and years of fertility treatment with her husband, Johnny. And, of course, her day-to-day is treating other people's children and making them better. And they'd had a terrible run of it. And the last cycle they did, she said, I need this to work because I don't think I can do my job if we're not successful this time. You'll have to find out to see what happens. But, that was... And I sort of understood where she was coming from. And then there's an extra little programme at the end of the run where I go back and meet some of the families who were successful. But of course, we don't shy away from the fact that the success rates still aren't great. But what the science is doing is giving people hope where there wouldn't be any otherwise. So it's a very balanced, I feel, representation of what IVF actually is.
And the sensitivities around it are so important, aren't they? You know, I can see in the programme, I mean, I cried half a dozen times watching it.
Oh, Sally.
I did. I mean, I could see you really, almost instantly, you make a connection with someone and you feel very invested in whatever is going to happen next for them. And I know one of the sensitivities you had to deal with was that you got pregnant, didn't you? And so you had to, did you delay the filming? How did that work?
So what happened, when this opportunity came about, we were in the middle of the pandemic and of course we couldn't film in a hospital. But then I found out, to my absolute delight, that, you know, we'd had a lovely surprise. We were expecting little Annie. And, but I called them and said, I'm really sorry, you know, I'm pregnant and so I can't do it. And I said, I understand if you need to get somebody else to front this documentary, but I don't feel it's sensitive for me to be there. Of course they have members of staff who fall pregnant, of course, but I didn't think it was right for me to be there. So we waited until Annie was born and they said, don't worry, we'll wait. They were lovely. And then we started filming when Annie was 4 weeks. But you know what? Even though lots of people have said, how did you do that? But gosh, I'm the lucky one. So that was easy. And you'd go home every night and just hold those children a little bit tighter. My gosh, all of us who have children are so lucky.
And you're very honest about your own experiences to camera.
Yeah.
As part of this series. That was important for you.
Well, you know, the series will be a trigger for a lot of people who are still going through it. Some people will find it very difficult to watch if they're in the thick of the process at the minute. And even for me, I didn't have IVF, but had a miscarriage. And when we had patients going through that, you know, it does bring things. It does bring things back, and it's just not talked about at all, John. You know, all of this is very hush-hush, very quiet, and I just hope by me talking about my experience and all the patients very, very kindly sharing their story, that suddenly this will be a conversation that we can have with no taboo surrounding it.
We're out of time, but you know, one of the things that really made me cry was when the dads talk about it, because you could see they really don't want to say it, and they crumble quite quickly, don't they?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a very hard thing to talk about, especially on camera. But my goodness, all those contributors will have made such a huge difference to other people going through it.
Absolutely, because there'll be so many people going through it who want to watch the series and see what's gone first. Career change?
Do you know what? I felt so exhausted at the end of the day, but good exhausted. You know, like you've made a difference. I actually loved it.
You can tell.
I'm not good enough to have a career change. But, you know.
You're quite good at the other thing as well, so maybe
I don't know,
do that
Sally,
for a bit longer.
Still bluffing my way through that one.
Lovely to have you here. Well done. It's great. Alex Jones, Making Babies. It's on W on Thursday at 8 o'clock. You can also catch up on UK TV Play.
I think it's very uplifting.
Yes, it is.
Very,
Really is.
very gorgeous
Thank
to
you.
watch. It is. It's lovely.